They've come a long way. Give them a round of applause for some support, please. There we go. All right, duelists. It's time to duel. Good luck.
All right, here we go.
Both the players have drawn their opening hands, and Sun did win the die roll, so I have to assume he is going to be the one going first.
Most likely, yeah. It is pretty fine to assume that they know what each other is playing, so he opens quite a good hand. So you can see the circle and the spinny, which is usually enough to just push through. And at the moment, there are no hand traps in Vitus' hand. He does have the Phantasme, so that will be important to try and look for one, because otherwise we are going to see a very good opening from Sun, possibly ending into Abyss Dweller, since he knows what the matchup is. And that card is just phenomenal in this matchup.
Yeah, we've seen it come up a lot this weekend.
Absolutely. It just almost a dimensional barrier for the deck we were saying. You can still push through, but it is very hard. And when you pair it up with some traps, in this case, it gets tough. So these two draws from Vitus are probably among the most important in his entire Yu-Gi-Oh career. So
Phantasme summons itself from hand, lets you draw cards equal to the number of link monsters your opponent controls +1, and then shuffle back equal to the number of link monsters they control.
Very good in the Salamangreat Mirror. We've seen it come down a lot, fixing your hands, trying to dig to those hand traps, and just having that body on the board has actually been huge this weekend.
And unfortunately, he does pick up one of his many hand traps, but it is the only real hand trap, which is the Impermanence, that doesn't really have a synergy with the Phantasme. So right now, Sun is basically free to do whatever he wants. And I think he's just going to try and play around things, but once he realized that there is no response from Vitus, he is just going to go wild here.
See the Gazelle coming down, going to send down the Salamangreat trap to the graveyard, and activate the effect of Spinny to special summon it back to the field.
And here you can see one of the very like silver lining you can say about Sun and Chai deck, which is the same. Since they're playing part of the Zars, they decided to play multiple copies of cards that you usually see at one, both trap cards and Jaguar. And that means that, like in this case, when you open them, it makes your combo also better. So in this case, you will be able to end on Abyss Dweller, Roar, and Rage, which is basically just the best opening for Salamangreat possible, I'd say.
Yeah, most definitely.
Trap cards have been one of the big things for Salamangreat this weekend. An increase in the number of actual trap cards, in more copies of Roar, more copies of Rage, Solemns and Permanences. All that kind of stuff has really factored into the success of Salamangreat in this tournament.
Yeah, I think lately the World Championship is being polarized by this kind of back and forth and control decks. We saw last year an incredible final, at least in the TCG, where it was Altergeist against Trickster, and it was just like so old-fashioned. In Game 3, you saw Cyber Dragon against Thunder King Ryo in 2018, which is just unbelievable.
Yeah, that was crazy last year.
It's more like 2008.
Yeah, exactly. So now. Basically, by using Stalio to bounce back the Phantasme, he actually made the Impermanence live, which is a pretty cool thing. But it was kind of too late, I would say, because it didn't really have an impact on the game.
Yeah, he still was able to get to the Abyss Dweller, which is the main...
But at least he negated the Wolf from getting back the Rage, which is a good plus there. So
Rage so strong with its ability to take out multiple cards if you have a Link monster that was Link summoned using another monster of the same name. Colloquially, it's called Reincarnation Link summoning from the anime series, Soulburner's technique from Vrains.
Using that Sanctuary. So Circle coming down here, you can search his deck for any Salamangreat.
Yes, he picks up another Foxy, which isn't the greatest. Of course, you want to have a few engine cards, but not too many. But he does have a pretty good hand. You will just try and see what the unknown back row is. We do know from our vision that it is the counter trap, so you will need to be playing around that.
And he's got to do it without effects in the graveyard as well, thanks to Abyss Dweller.
Exactly.
So you see the normal summon of Salamangreat Foxy. See if he decides to use the effect to excavate the top 3 cards.
It wouldn't seem like you do, yeah. Well, let's see what he's gonna pick up.
Oh, he did. He did use that.
Yeah.
Debug, effect failure, and
Okay.
spinning.
It does pick up Spinny. You already had a copy, so not too relevant again, but a good addition. And for everyone watching both here at the live stage and home, just as a reminder, there are a few differences if you're playing for the TCG in how the rulings for this event are, because of course we have to put everyone in the same spot, let's say, and there are a few differences in the rulings. The main one being that the effects of cards like the foul we're seeing on screen have to be chained as and considered as quick effects. So you have to give your opponent the chance to respond to your cards before you can chain your own foul, gazelle, and phantasmi, for example. So it does play a huge role in some of the situations, and this is what might have happened here.
Yep. So it looks like he's putting the spinning back, and they're fixing the situation.
Yeah, I think it is possible that by the body language, I assumed, as you were saying, that he didn't use the Foxy really, which seemed the case. So maybe that's what's going on. He of course needed to use the Foxy as Chain Link 1.
He intended to use it.
Yeah. If he didn't, then you cannot really manipulate the chain links otherwise.
So communication key, especially when you're trying to use maneuvers that use complex chain kind of things.
Yeah. And what happened actually was that, as you can see, there are two little cards, a red one and a green one. That is because also the shuffling rules were a little different this time. If you see a red card, it means that the deck is not randomized. It will need to be shuffled and then cut by your opponent. And since he resolved the circle and he didn't turn the card into green, he activated the Foxy before the deck was actually randomized. So they had to shuffle it back before the effect resolved.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
But we saw when he used the Foxy effect the second time, missed completely. No Salamander cards to be added to his hand.
Unfortunate, but the first one wasn't too impactful, to be honest. So
he's got the foul effect freezing down the back row card. That sends foul to the graveyard and lets Spinny come down from the hand as well.
Let's see where he goes from here.
Salamangreat Gazelle can special summon itself from the hand when your Salamangreat card goes to the graveyard. And when it's summoned, you get to send a Salamangreat card from your deck to the graveyard.
It's a pretty good one.
It is. It's quite crucial to almost everything that the Salamangreat deck does. So you want to get to it as fast as you can. Send Salamangreat Roar to the graveyard.
It's always polite to ask your opponent before you check the graveyard. I'm a big fan of that. See an overlay coming down here from Rostalio.
Rostalio has quite a beefy attack, 2,000. Its effect also lets you summon a Salamangreat from your deck.
And now we're basically in a similar situation. The Abyss Dweller is playing like a huge key in this game, but just like Vitus didn't have any real responses, now Sun is relying on this Phantasma in hand. And right now, he is not able to summon it anytime soon. So as soon as Vitus is going to commit to a Link Summon, then we're going to see it come down.
And it'll be helpful there with its anti-targeting ability in this case.
Exactly. Especially against the popular mind control that we're seeing in a lot of the finalist deck lists.
Oh, interesting. Vitus took a look at the game situation there and decided that he was unable to win this one. So you see the card there with the white flag on there. That means exactly what you think it is.
Yeah.
It's a concession or surrender for the current duel.
So that's game one. Just like that, Sun is up one. He's only one game away now from becoming the world champion, the Dragon Duel world champion.
That's a great position for him as well. If you can go up one duel with the kind of build that he has, you have a very good shot of taking that second one as well.
Absolutely. He was the favorite walking into this game, as we were saying. Game one, I mean, most of the times I would say it will go in his favor, because regardless of winning the title, he has so many cards that are good against the mirror match that it wasn't a surprise. But Without a time limit, I am a little bit surprised that Vitus didn't just try and continue, because you see this from a lot of competitive players where they know how to handle the timer very well. So they do know where they are in a position of just, I'm done with this game, let's just save some time for the next ones. But in this one, I feel like he could have just tried a little bit more, but the Abyss Dweller, we just say, oh, it is so annoying to deal with here, so he probably just thought he wasn't going anywhere. And
it may be a case where he committed to a line of play that would involve the Mirage Stalio's Graveyard effect.
Exactly.
And then realized, oh wait, Abyss Dweller resolved this turn. This line of play isn't going to work, and I'm not going to get another turn.
Yeah, it is definitely an option, but now we commented on the main decks. The side decks are quite different, and I feel like now Vitus is going to have more of a fair time, because he does have his own copies of very popular side deck cards in the mirror match, like the DD Crows and Super Polymerizations, that we're going to see in both of these players' main decks. So I think now it gets definitely more fair, and it's going to be interesting to see this, because when you have an edge in deck building, I feel that's probably the biggest edge you can have in the game in general, if you agree with me, Billy.
Oh, definitely.
I think that's absolutely right.
Yeah, but then it gets interesting when you're facing, after siding especially, a deck that pretty much has the same cards and touches as you. Then it gets probably more to how you draw and how you're actually piloting your deck. So it gets to technical play some of the times, and when you're nervous, I think technical play is really where you see the difference between a professional player, you can say, and someone who is not used to being in such a stage often.
Practice is really a key thing for this.
It is.
Like, you just want to duel as much as you can, just to figure out, how your deck works, how the various other decks works.
You see the
and
more
just
scenarios.
to see as many scenarios as you possibly can, because sometimes you'll just, you'll know what your deck is supposed to do, but what happens when it's not doing what it's supposed to do?
Yep, that separates the men from the boys.
So we can look back to like round 1 of the Dragon Duel yesterday, where in Duel 3 of that match, both players' decks didn't really do what they were supposed to do, and it turned into just a brawl between monsters.
Exactly, yeah.
And you got to know how to win those games as well.
Yeah, this is something we were actually talking about with Billy through one round and the other. It is that we get questioned a lot on like how to improve and how to get better, but the truth is that there are no real shortcuts in general. Like, playing as much as possible is just the best thing you can do, and if you enjoy the game, that's also like one fun way to do it. You meet friends and you get better at the game, because that's the only real way to do it.
Yeah,
so.
if you're not having fun, what are you doing?
Yeah, it doesn't even feel like practice at that point if you're just having a good time.
Exactly. All right, looks like game 2 is almost underway. There's finishing the shuffle.
Yep, they got to do the cuts first. It is shuffle, shuffle, cut, cut.
And here we go, drawing the hands. Game 2 underway.
Okay, so we are seeing the ends, and even though there is a Sanctuary in Sun end, which is never something you want to draw, a Phantasme is there to fix it, so that's the best feeling ever, since you can draw 2 new fresh cards and just shuffle back the Sanctuary.
Yeah, you basically get the 2 free cards you're saying, because you put the Sanctuary back and then you add it back, so it's like you get an extra card from that Phantasme.
Vitus is supposedly going first, yeah, and this Foxy is gonna be crucial. Can he pick up anything here?
It's got Buffalo.
Oh, that's not what he was looking for. He already had the Rage. He was really looking for anything really, a Spinny, a Circle, or a Gazelle. And now it doesn't seem like his hand is that good. So he's gonna be forced to go into a Balinx, which is gonna be met by a Phantasmite. And yeah, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a rough game here.
Yeah, it is reminding me a little bit of the very unfortunate top 4 with Hangel.
Oh, yeah.
Shoutouts to him. He made it all the way to top 4. But then, unfortunately, he lost because he didn't really get things going in either of the games against the current world champion. So.
He probably drew the worst hands we've seen here this weekend.
Yeah, doesn't really rely to that, because he at least has a few of the Solomon Grade monsters. And he's still going to set up Roar plus Rage with a few entraps to back those up. So it is going to be
certainly has a chance.
Interesting one.
And he does have another Salamangreat in his hand. So if he gets around to the next turn, he certainly has some things he can do.
Absolutely. And in Sun End, you basically see a lot of side deck cards at the moment. Evenly matched, one of the least convincing one for me. I was never a fan of it against Great, and you can see it conflicting here with Phantasma as well. So
that one's just going to get negated.
But the freshly drawn one, it is a convincing one. It is the lone copy of Super Polymerization. That's very surprising. They decided to cite only one, but it is there. And
seeing the mind control come down, how good it is in the mirror match. Just forcing out the roar.
Oh, and he's got Jack Jaguar as well. Always a key part of Salamangreat, not just mirror matches, but any match you have with Salamangreat.
Absolutely.
That's the key card that keeps your cards recycling, keeps itself coming back to the field, keeps triggering Sunlight Wolf's ability.
Yeah, we see him draw it so often because they did choose to play multiple copies here this weekend.
So
it's really important.
It is, and here I'm very interested in seeing, in the match I was referring about before, so the Hangul one, the Korean World Champion, which we repeated is a friend of Sun with the same deck, witnessed a very similar situation, and he completely avoided going into Link Summons to play around a possible Phantasmi from his opponent. I want to see if this is going to be the same case. Honestly, you can argue the situation is very similar, but let's see if he thinks he can afford to do that.
So Salamangreat Rage takes out Phantasme, using its second ability that targets your own monster, not your opponent's. And then Jack Jaguar is used to make Salamangreat Balinks for Sun.
Yeah.
And he gets to search the sanctuary that he put back with the Phantasme.
And yeah, younger are usually braver, so he does go into Link Summons, and we'll see if that will pay off differently from his friend. Something important to remind of, obviously, is the importance of ETA in the mirror match. It is a Link 2 that completely, I think, revolutionized the way the mirror match is being played. You have to avoid at all times to put powerful fire monsters in your graveyard, and it is always something to pay attention to.
For sure. See Link summon for Sunlight Wolf.
It's going to bring back that Jack Jaguar to the zone that Sunlight Wolf is pointing to.
Link it away for a Balinks. Trigger Sunlight Wolf effect.
So he gets back there. Takes the Jack Jaguar.
Yeah, he needs cards to be discarded from the Super Polymerization, so why not? And the Diddy Crow is one of the crucial cards he has in his main deck. So you would think that Diddy Crow and Mind Controls were cards that he sided for this matchup. No, he's actually maining them, which you can see is why he is being so successful in a field full of Salamangreat decks. This could have honestly been game one for how his deck is structured outside of the evenly match, really. So.
Yeah, I see what you're meaning about the evenly match, how not so good in the mirror match. Like, it can be a way to break through stuff, but when you have cards like Mind Control, it can force out the roar and stuff.
And I feel like it conflicts not only with the Phantasmi, but like with the other Anthropes. If you're really slowing them down, like with Diddy Crow and the other Anthropes, then they're not going to overextend that much. But now a Flame Buffalo is picked up by Vitus. He really needs these two new cards because he doesn't have much going on at all right now, so that's going to be important. He also has the option to go into a Phoenix if he wants, co-linking it in front of his opponent's Sunlight Wolf to get even an extra draw. So we'll see how he decides to go for this.
It also clears out his extra monster zone as well, so he has access to that too.
Looks like he decides to go into the Sunlight Wolf instead. The Phoenix was right there on top of his extra. Thought maybe that was coming down.
It is, but one thing you got to worry about is Sunlight Wolf's ability. When something summoned to a zone it points to, and it does point towards your opponent. So you could inadvertently trigger its ability yourself.
So he does pick up the Silent Mining, so that's one of the cards he was looking for. He was missing his core pieces, let's say, so he's going to be able to get either to Gazelle or whatever he feels like it's good. He could also be getting a Spinny, for example, since he has the Foxy engraved. He can discard the Spinny, bring back the Foxy, and then try and force out some negations while making the Stalio. So we'll see how he decides to go for this.
Silent Mining gives you any level 4 or lower Cybers monster.
Yeah.
So it's just something to think about if you're playing any of the many Cybers decks.
Okay, so he does go for the line that I was suggesting, and unfortunately we know that the Diddy Crow is going to be there, and that's not going to be pleasant for him.
That's huge.
here there are a few options. I would say one of them could be just going for a double Eat Leo to try and push through, but definitely tough to realize the situation in which you're in. At least the Eat Leo is really good because it overcomes the problem of Bale Links protecting the will, while putting it back into the deck just solves the problem.
It's going to be tough to deal with the super polymerization that he has face down.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, you'd also like to see one fewer back row card here. I'm a lot less comfortable making an aggressive play into 2 than 1, especially Salamangreat decks have 2 trap cards that can get you, plus any number of side deck cards.
Okay, so here the spin is gonna be activated, and just like Billy was saying, there is an option that we're just gonna see a super polymerization being flipped out here, which would be terrible for Vitus. Let's see what Sun decides to do. You gotta consider it, because if Eat Leo comes down, then it is not as good of an option, and I think that's what we are gonna see.
All right, so we've got Heat Leo number 1 that can activate its ability to get rid of a spell or trap card.
This is why I really didn't like the weight.
Up the super poly.
I mean, it is close, but like if the super poly was targeted there, you are gonna lose your Sunlight Wolf honestly unnecessarily, and he took the risk, and just like he took the risk with the Bale Link, so as we were saying, it seems like not only he's calm and not nervous, but he also has quite the courage to go for these plays, which are
a bit of damage as well.
Yep.
Then in the end phase, we see the super polymerization.
Bring out the Violet Chimera.
And that leaves him with an empty field.
That's
other than one trap card back there, which is, we know it's a Salamangreat Roar, which he can't play. So if Sun can get 6,700 on the board right here, he will be the world champion.
definitely a surprise using the Super Poly in the end phase. He knew that the face down card from Vitus is the Roar that he got back with the Wolf, so he wanted to shut down that, but it wasn't like it was possible to use it because you cannot chain to Super Polymerization, of course. So I feel like he could have waited the...
See what he draws.
Yeah, especially because you do lose the attack boost from the Violet Chimera, because it only lasts until the end phase.
Still, base stats, not bad.
Absolutely. So he picks up his own Roar, which is also quite a nice.
Just doing some math, adding up what he can do, how much...
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like he can push too much damage right here, especially with the double effect Veiler in Vitus hand.
Yes, and he doesn't have an available zone to summon from his extra deck too, unless he uses the Violet Chimera as one of the materials.
So it seems like he got a little bit ahead of himself. The thing is, the Roar, just like many negation cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, it does prevent the activation of a spell and trap, but it doesn't negate the effect of a spell and trap, so he couldn't negate the on-field will, which is also a very relevant thing that would have allowed him to push a lot more damage there.
Will the Salamangreat, very strong card that gives you at least one extra summon each turn, and you can cash it in for more than that if you have a reincarnated Salamangreat Limp Monster. And he goes for his own Heat Leo. Yeah,
so this is the Heat Leo comes down, targeting the Roar. Vitus is gonna think about it because his own Roar isn't that impactful right now, but he decides to go for the effect Vader. So
he's gonna put back the Violet Chimera to put some in the Jaguar. Activate Salamangreat Sanctuary.
Very relevant to put it back because he is also playing Fusion of Fire, so he has the possibility to actually summon a second Violet Chimera later on in the duel. Now the draw for Vitus is gonna be extremely important. He really needs to pick up something that he can discard with the Buffalo, and unfortunately with the Roar being the last card from Sun, it is gonna be tough. Ooh!
And he draws just came back.
Oh,
the handshake!
Oh my goodness.
Sun just wins. 2-0, the handshakes. He drew the card that he shuffled right here, and I think Sun is gonna be declared our new world champion.
That is just unlucky for Vitus.
Just checking on the head judge confirmation, because you have to ask if you are allowed to concede, but there is nothing he can do at the moment, so...
Yep, there we go, and that's the concession.
Comes
Sun
down,
Shang En
and we have our first world champion of the day.
Congratulations. Taiwan showing that they are a force to be reckoned with.
They really are.
Absolutely, they are the current world champion for the TCG Taiwan, and here again one more world champion and one more world champion that is a friend of the current TCG world champion, who, by the way, we will see later today. So maybe today we will crown not one but two Taiwanese world champions for Yu-Gi-Oh! So
using the same exact deck list,
that's crazy.
It really is amazing. So at least for now, I mean, he's still the world champion until someone beats him, right? So at least for now, we have two. But that was really a textbook match. Like, Sun Cheng played extraordinarily well in that one, and he got the job done very quickly. And that's another thing, is that if you can finish your match as quickly as you can, like, that's part of why you go for some of those aggressive moves sometimes, just to deny your opponent the extra draw phases that might get them to something that could get them back in the game.
Absolutely. To be honest, we were talking about it both during the introduction to the finals and before the match, and we knew, or at least we were talking about how he had an edge in this matchup, but honestly, I didn't think he would just go this quick. He completely... I think Vitus really never stood a chance in this particular match. You still gotta give a credit to him, and congratulations to how he represented Denmark, which is also a country that you don't often see at this stage. So very a good job on Vitus. I'm sure he has a lot of talent and a lot of options to redeem himself later on the next year. But now it is a soon day. Everyone should crown him. So. He's the new champion. Congratulations a lot to him. I think he's now gonna sit along with our crowd, and yeah.
Congratulations! Congratulations! World champion! Fantastic! So wonderful. How are you feeling? Yeah. How's he feeling?
感谢家人，还有那些陪我练牌的人。
So he would like to thank for his family and those who practice with him.
Okay. And do you have any words of encouragement for everyone else who you competed with?
好像没有好像没有
Very good. Well, congratulations. Thanks again. Shang En. Well done. Hey, don't forget your trophy. He's so modest. Oh, sure. And just so you know, we're going to take a short 10-minute break to set up for the next event. Thank you very much. Stay tuned. No problem.